Okay, so we're going to break down a theory that suggests the economic world as you know it is on a collision course with AI. And get this, the impact isn't decades away. The source material for this explainer says it's just around the corner. So, yeah, let's dive right into this. So, the theory puts a number on this whole thing 900 days. That's it, less than 3 years. And look, this isn't some random date pulled out of a hat. It's a specific countdown to what's predicted to be a massive tipping point in our economy. And there it is, the core claim from the source material. It's meant to be provocative, for sure, because the stakes here are incredibly high. The idea is that your job, how you earn money, your entire economic value, it's all about to fundamentally change. So, what's the magic behind this 900-day mark? Well, the theory goes that this is the moment when AI will be able to do basically any white-collar professional job better, faster, and way cheaper than a person can. We're talking about the jobs that really built the modern middle class. Now, to really get why this is such a huge threat, we first need to take a quick look at how our current economy actually works. It's all based on a pretty simple repeating cycle. Right, so our whole economy runs on this loop, and it's pretty straightforward. You work, you get paid. You then use that money to buy stuff, which gives companies revenue. And that revenue, it lets those companies hire more people, people like you. And the whole cycle starts over. It's this delicate, self-sustaining system that really depends on every single link in that chain. And here is the crucial point, the absolute key to all of this. That entire loop you just saw, it only works because your labor, your intelligence, your time, it's a scarce resource. I mean, that's what economics is all about, right? Figuring out the value of scarce things. Because smart labor is hard to come by, it has value, and you can sell it for a wage. And this quote just perfectly captures the disruption. AI takes that core assumption that human intellect is scarce, and it flips it completely on its head. Think about it. When something becomes incredibly abundant, its economic value plummets, basically down towards zero. And this isn't some abstract problem for the future. No way. According to the source, about 70% of all the hours people work in developed economies are already done in front of a computer screen. That's basically home turf for AI. It doesn't need a robot body. It just needs access to the digital world, where, let's face it, most white-collar work already happens. So here's where the whole thing just breaks. If AI makes intellectual labor abundant and super cheap, that first critical link, you trading your time for money, it just shatters. I mean, why would a company pay a premium for a human worker when there's a cheaper, more efficient alternative? Once that link is gone, the whole system starts to crumble. And this could kick off a really dangerous feedback loop, a death spiral. If millions of people lose their jobs, or even just see their wages drop, they stop buying stuff. It's that simple. And when consumption plummets, companies lose revenue and have to cut costs. And what's the most efficient way to cut costs? You guessed it, replacing more human workers with AI, which just accelerates the entire problem. So that's the economic theory. But what about us? What happens to people when we feel the ground shifting right under our feet? Well, it turns out our behavior can become dangerously predictable. To really understand what happens next, we have to talk about a concept called the loss domain. Now, you'd think that when things get tough, people get cautious, right? But Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman found out that the exact opposite is true. When people feel trapped, when they're facing what looks like certain ruin, they don't play it safe. They start making huge, risky bets. And we've seen this play out time and time again. During the Great Depression, this massive gambling culture just popped up out of nowhere. And in 2020, as the pandemic created all this economic uncertainty, what did we see? An explosion in speculative behavior. Meme stocks, crypto, options trading. Totally different eras, but it's the exact same psychology at work. And this is the key insight right here. Desperation literally rewires our brains. We stop caring about probability or stability. The only thing that matters is that one long-shot bet that might just save us. We're chasing that feeling of control, that hope of getting it all back in one single move, even if the odds are absolutely terrible. Okay, so we've got a potentially broken economy and a population that's psychologically wired for reckless speculation. It's a pretty grim picture, but the source material doesn't just diagnose the problem. It also offers a strategy for how to navigate what comes next. So if intellectual labor isn't scarce anymore, what is? Well, according to this theory, The new scarce resource is human judgment. It's not about being able to do a task anymore. It's about the wisdom to know what task to do in the first place. It's the ability to cut through all the noise and the entrepreneurial savvy to actually build something valuable with these crazy powerful new AI tools. This new economy is predicted to split society into 4 different groups. At the very top, you'll have the people with both judgment and that entrepreneurial drive. They're going to thrive. Next, you have those with great judgment, but maybe not that startup mentality. They'll become super rare, high-value employees who orchestrate AI. Then you've got the entrepreneurial types who lack judgment. They'll probably just burn out chasing bad ideas. And finally, that 4th group, predicted to be the majority, might find their labor is no longer needed and will have to rely on something like a universal basic income, a regular payment from the government. So what do? How do you prepare for this kind of future? Well, the source lays out this 6-point all-weather strategy. First, develop emotional sobriety. This means you have to resist that psychological pull to make reckless bets when you feel cornered. Stay calm, be strategic. Second, own diversified assets to help protect your wealth. Third, and this one is so key, learn to orchestrate AI. Be the director telling the AI what problems to solve, not just a user doing simple tasks. Fourth, if you can, build your own thing. Become a creator, not just an employee. Fifth, build income streams that aren't tied to a single employer. And finally, number 6, avoid debt. In an economy this unpredictable, debt can be an absolute trap. And that brings us to the end of this breakdown. And it leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. This isn't just about technology or economics. It's about our identity. In a world where the value of human labor is heading towards zero, the question isn't just about what you can do anymore. It's about something much more important. What will you become?